Thank you for joining today's webinar. We're going to talk about how we can source on thomasnet.com, specifically how we can search, evaluate, and connect with best North American manufacturers, including the USA and Canadian companies. So without further ado, let's start. You must be so used to this by now, poor you guys. Like, this is a webinar, so please be patient about Wi-Fi signal and sound quality, and please do submit your question at all times. The reason why I'm looking at the screen, within multiple windows is to address your questions and concerns throughout the webinar. And we'll circulate a copy after this webinar, but actually you see that Mariah has already shared a link to the Google slide deck so you can follow along. I know it's a little bit unconventional, but a bit about me. I used to be a sociologist on Wikipedia, studying how trust enabled technology to create useful knowledge for the world. And then I move across different continents and countries and work across media, brands, and now in manufacturing. But my theme is always about the use of content, data, and storytelling to mobilize communities for good. And I'm really excited to talk to you about how you can use Thomas to connect with some of the best companies in the world. We also have Mariah, who actually put a deck together, and you can see the link in the chat. Mariah, can you introduce yourself quickly as well?
Sure, thanks, Kathy. I don't have quite as interesting of a background, so I won't bore you guys. My name is Mariah Hauk. I'm the audience development lead here at Thomas, a Xometry company. I help put together different assets like our surveys and reports, ebooks, and this here webinar. I hope you guys enjoy what we have in store for you today. If you have any questions, please drop them in the question box and I'll try to get to as many as I can. And like Kathy said, she'll also be answering them as well. And I'll share some links as we go along as well. So I will pass it back over to Kathy to get started.
Mariah.
Thank you.
Thank you. She's very humble. She actually came from Alaska, and I learned a lot about cabin building and hunting top tips from her and her family. So yes, for now, I actually would love to turn the mic around and ask you all which of the following best industry describes your job function. And Mariah's going to queue up a poll. We're going to give everybody a few seconds. While you're answering the quick poll, I'm going to answer Wayne's question. He asked, will this only be information for US and Canada, not including Mexico? So thomasnet.com covers 560,000 suppliers, and I'll explain the selection criteria in a bit. A majority of them, actually all of them, have to at least have one company corporate registration in the USA or Canada. However, a lot of the manufacturing and distribution companies on our platform have Mexican offices as well. On top of that, you may not have heard, but last quarter, Thomas was bought by Xometry, which is an international custom manufacturing company. So in a bit, when I start showing you how thomasnet.com and Xometry's custom instant quote engine, you will see that we have access to international suppliers through our network. Right, so I think we now have about 77% of you voted. Mariah, let's close the poll. Cool, so looks like we have a majority of you from various industry. I'm really curious, when we have an exit survey in a bit, there is a free form in the survey. It would be great for you to tell us what you actually do and what you need from Thomas after this webinar. Surely, a lot of you are from general manufacturing, wholesale, transportation, and engineering. Now, let's move on. So the beef of today's presentation, it really is all about thomasnet.com. If you haven't heard of Thomas, we have been around for over 124 years, since 1898. We started with the Big Green Book, where it documents and categorizes all manufacturing categories, industries, as well as companies available in North America. And the power of thomasnet.com is that we're not just limited to one industry. A lot of the users like you from Thomas actually serve sometimes multiple industry. We can talk to a bearing manufacturers, for example, and they work across aerospace, automotive, and general manufacturing. But in the last few years, we are seeing tremendous amount of onshoring activities, for example, in particular for electronic construction, food and beverage as well. You may see that this list represents some of you, and if not, we have like a super long tail of specialists using our platform as well. In addition, as I mentioned, we have around 570,000 USA and Canadian suppliers. The criteria for these suppliers is that they have at least one US or Canadian-based subsidiaries or headquarters. However, a lot of our listed suppliers have international offices and manufacturing capabilities as well. And I'll show you in a bit how you can look for them. In addition, because we have been almost the librarians of the industry for over 120 years, so we started mapping every single kind of raw material processes all the way from tier 1 to tier 3 manufacturing companies, raw materials all the way through to distribution supply chain. We do have 76,000 categories from alloy to zinc, so including chemicals like adhesive and sealants, technologies and electronic parts and materials such as, automation electronics, as well as assembly line. We're seeing a lot of robotic activities on our platform, all the way through to the day-to-day supply chain stories that you're hearing, including, raw material for food production. Now, you're here today because likely you maybe search on the search engine, or a friend of you told you to use thomasnet.com if you want to connect with great suppliers. There are 3 things you can do on our platform. Number 1, search across our database completely for free. As long as you're freely registered as a user, we don't charge user for registering. You can search across the whole database that I just walked you through. I'm going to show you advanced top tips on how you can use our firmographic data points to better evaluate, shortlist, and export data for your projects. Finally, you can connect with our vast majority of suppliers. You can request quotes and information. Let's start. So what do I mean? You'll hear Kathy saying, firmographic information or search filters. That's not for you to, play keyword bingo at the end of the day. Let's actually look at the live website, and I'll talk you through what I mean by that. Within thomasnet.com, I'd like you guys, if you can throw in the chat any kind of parts, materials, vendors you're looking for, because that will make this session a lot more interactive. By the way, Christy, you absolutely can get a presentation afterwards. And in fact, if you look at Mariah group chat, there's a tiny URL. That's a link for you to access the live webinar deck as I speak. Now, let's say you might be working for an automotive company and are trying to find next generation bearing suppliers. All you need to do on thomasnet.com is to search for your keywords bearings and click the bearings button. Now, at this point, you may be like, okay, I can browse through the list, but let me show you some really useful data points on this search results. To begin with, every single company that we have additional data for, like you will see that we already pre-categorize this company and tell you whether or not they are custom manufacturers, distributors, finishing company, or turnkey system integrators. We have a lot of different, structured categorization on the left rail of the search results. So when you browse and click through, if you may be saying, I'm looking for someone who can manufacture, not just distribute, then you can quite quickly look at BDI and you can judge, I'm not interested in a distributor, and you can keep scrolling. Now, in addition, maybe you are working on behalf of a big, Fortune 5,000 company, and you have a massive order, and you want to look for a company that can cater to your order size. Or you might be a small company looking for a small kind of quick prototype and small order. This data point is really important, where you can filter the company quite quickly by the company size, and that will increase the probability of them getting back to you, because as you know, sometimes certain manufacturer might get intimidated by a very big order, or vice versa. They might be huge and they may not entertain a small order. Now, okay, I think Christy has a question, CNC machine shop. So after this, I'm going to do Christy CNC and Benjamin's roller wheel manufacturer and Randy's wooden toys. I love it. And Brian Gearbox, outfit all foreign. So while you're here, I also wanted to highlight the fact that you can click factory tour as a button. Now, in the last 2 years, I'm very proud of the Thomas advertising team. They work with our customers, the paying suppliers, with about, I think, $2,500 package, we were able to send a crew to film from drone footages all the way to really kind of walking you through additional, like inside a factory, what's going on, like how the machining capabilities look like. So it's almost like you can be at the comfort of your home and you really can sort of browse through. This is a really good example. Let me just actually make it slightly bigger. So at the comfort of your own home, when you use the filter and check factory tour button, you really can tour a number of factories at the comfort of your home. And a lot of these videos actually show you the shop. And I'm going to fast forward and show you some of the machining capabilities, the tooling. So for example, for Christy, this is really cool for you because you literally can see their CNC tool and, you know, yeah, and how they're operating the machine right in front of you. Now, let me circle back. You may be asking, Kathy, you showed me something really cool. I didn't pay attention. What was that? I repeat, when you go to thomasnet.com, when you type in the categories, you see the search results. The most important kind of cockpit of control is the left rail. What I just did is I applied a factory tool filter, so you can see all 14 companies that partner with Thomas to include a factory tour video on the page. Now you may say, I'm actually interested in custom manufacturers only, and I'm going to actually use Christy example. Let me pop over and look at CNC machining companies, and we do have 14,000 of them. So right now, under this list, there are so many companies, and like I said, you can look at the company by the size, years found, number of employees to kind of gauge a sense of their experience. Sometimes the longer the company has been around, the more experienced they are. You can also sort these companies with the data point I described to you. For example, Christy, if you're actually looking for a large company that can help you with a production run, for example, I just reorder this kind of result, and you can see machining shop that we categorize as having $250 million estimated annual revenue, and you can get a sense of the number of employees to help you source faster. Now, in addition, you may think, Kathy, I really would like to work with company that truly declare that they have made in the USA capability. For CNC machining, it's really easy for us to find, you know, made in the USA company because most of the machining shop are based in the USA, listed on Thomas. But I'm going to actually swing over and use Randy example, wooden toys. Now, this is a really good example because it's a bit niche and there are 22 suppliers on the platform. And sometimes you may say, hey, Kath, I've been working with international suppliers for the last 2 years and it's been very difficult because I talk to suppliers and buyers all the time that a shipment from China to West Coast went from $1,400 to over $20,000 during the pandemic at times, and it's still fluctuating up and down. Now you say, I want to really find a company that can manufacture in the USA. I'll say, yeah, you can actually. When you come to thomasnet.com, there is a structure filter called Origin Declaration. When you click this button, it means that these suppliers talk to the supplier content team, our industrial librarians, and declare with a written document that they can manufacture in the USA. And now, Randy, you get like 3 companies that can actually make your wooden toys, and I would love to see your prototype and your picture when you're ready because it's bringing back a lot of great memories. Now, Benjamin also had like a really good question, roller wheel manufacturer. Let me just type it in with bushings. Okay, so what is interesting about Thomas is when you type in your language in terms of how you describe something, this is a great use case. That doesn't exactly map into our taxonomy. You then get funnel into how we actually categorize everything. So I'm guessing when you talk about roller wheel, are you talking about industrial wheels? Or I think, Benjamin, if you can give me more information, that would be great. But let's say while I'm waiting for you, I might just be, you know, looking at all the categories. And I can actually do a Control F or Command F and type in roller. And at this point, what I tend to do is just to kind of tap up and down this search result and see if I have what I want. So this doesn't look exactly, oh, with bushings versus roller bearing for rolls of trailers. Okay, so let me type wheel with bushings. Sorry, I said it wrong. Okay, so I'm thinking that this might be closer to what you're looking for, trolley wheel bushings suppliers. So there are 3 companies in our search result that seems to hit what you need. And if you're looking for something that you can't find, just reply to the email that I sent to you, Kathy@thomasnet.com, and Mariah and I can definitely connect you with the right team to help you find what you need as well. Now, yeah, oh, you found it. Great. So Star Engineering in Bluffon is the one. Okay, so Owen also asked a question. Is there a way to search a specific term without being funneled into categories? For example, is there a way to search for any mention of roller wheels in a company name? Very good question. So let me actually go up one level. The key thing is you kind of have to go to the broad category like wheels. And at that point, again, your left-hand side, Thomas control cockpit. And when you scroll down, you will find a search within result button. And here, if I type bushings, that's another really good way to look for search results. And we expanded the result from 3 to 77 suppliers. And here, you will then be able to browse all of these manufacturers. So let me actually open up some of these options. Rubber manufacturing. You may not find exactly what you want to. Sometimes you have to just kind of contrast the back and fro. Now, you guys are fantastic. All these great questions. What if you're looking for a shipper to move commodity in a certain area as a freight broker? Now, location is a very important point. So let me actually spend some time zooming in onto Christina's question. And I'm going to use paper as an example because we are seeing an inordinate amount of shortages with paper. A lot of publishers and printers are struggling to find paper pulp and manufacturing facilities at times. So say you might be just browsing through the 488 suppliers. One thing you can do is on the lower left-hand side, you will see location served. So say if Christina is actually based in, let's say, Connecticut, you can then check this box and it will filter the search result by the registered company, sorry, by this location these companies served. In addition, I can clear it all. And if you want to actually look for the location of the companies themselves, not just necessarily the radius of what they serve, you actually can type in the postcodes. So I'm in the Catskills. I'm just going to type in a random Catskill postcode. So you can see that there are 2 paper-related company in upstate New York, Oneonta and Oneonta, which is actually really cool. I didn't know that. Oh, wow, this is interesting. Alternatives or original cat parts. I'm thinking, Andres, you're looking for car parts, right? Let me just type in something broad like car components and see what kind of search results I get. Yeah, so sometimes what's interesting about Thomas is if you're in automotive manufacturing, you might not type car as part of your search term because you know what parts you're looking for. And a lot of the components are industry agnostic. But let me just pop over to car accessory. Here you can still see a lot of really interesting automotive parts and components. And I do encourage all of you to use the related category as a browsing vehicle for you to understand the taxonomy of Thomas. When I talk to a lot of long-term fans of Thomas, they always tell me, Kathy, I really miss the big book because I can just sit and just sometimes, when I'm having a cup of tea, flicking through the big book and I can learn about things I didn't know exist. You still can have that experience. It's a little bit harder. So imagine you open to a page of, of a certain group of bearings related content. Let me go back to the original example. When I type in bearings, here, this is very useful, especially if you just switch spend category or you are an engineer and you're always wondering what else can you know about when it comes to all the cool things in manufacturing. You actually can pop over to the search result look at, expand to see all the best matches, but all the related categories as well. So, yep. And okay, so Andrews actually asked a really good question. Thank you for the clarification. He's looking for Caterpillar OEM parts. Now, this is a very cool, let me try it. I need to make sure that it works because I need to find out Caterpillar. I can't spell Caterpillar. I think I got it, right? Let me double check. Caterpillar parts. Thank you, Google. I've become one of those millennials. I'm actually older than a millennial. And yeah, so supplier by name, supplier by brand name. So this is actually a new feature that we launched about a year and a half ago. So when you click, let me double check and make sure you get the right result. So when you look at supplier by brand name, you type the brand of the products you're interested in, and then you will see all the distributors that actually carry Caterpillar within their capability. And then at that point, you can search within results for the component that you need. Now, let's go back on what we just covered because I speak really fast and we covered a lot of things. Step by step, you have an industrial sourcing need, bookmark thomasnet.com, pop over, enter what you need, and let's use the example of Andreas where he needs to find Caterpillar parts and it's a brand, or you can just search for the component's name or raw materials, whatever it is, hit search results, and then you can see how Thomas librarians really categorize everything, including the actual company. We have a lot of industrial content written by our content team, but also suppliers by brand name. Now, in addition, we talk about the more traditional ways of sourcing things. There are gear boxes in our search results. So let me actually type in gear boxes for Brian, as I promised at the beginning. It's not Brian, sorry. Getting too excited. Too excited. Gear boxes, okay. Yeah. Can you imagine an introvert like me? I'm kidding, sorry. Like an extrovert like me being stuck in a pandemic and being so excited about talking to all of you about search results. Didn't imagine that would happen in my future 2 years ago, but hey, I'm actually really happy to be here because I love information and data. Now, Brian, here's your gearboxes supplier, and there are 655 of them. Now, let me go through everything we talk about in this recap. Remember, under the related category tab, you can click it to learn a lot more about related gearboxes. You may want to refine your search result through this result. There are a lot of different gearboxes. Are you looking for multi-speed, two-speed, right angle, etc., etc.? And the second thing is, I haven't covered this, you can actually look for companies that are certified and registered partners of Thomas. It means that they're our paying advertisers, and we also devote extra content resources to quadruple check their profile to make sure that they're constantly up to date and cover sometimes a lot of product catalog as well. So let's use this as an example and go a little bit deeper and look at a company profile. Within the company profile, you see Precipart, they have information about their gearbox capability. And you will also see that we organize all the structured data. Let me make it slightly bigger. All the structured data on this page. For example, if you need to find companies that actually fulfill, AS 9100D, or if you work in the defense supply chain and you need to make sure that your suppliers are ITAR certified, you can use this as a quick way to eyeball whether or not they have the capability. And sometimes people are really shocked when I say to them, you actually can click the button and Thomas content team have organized all the information for you. So you don't have to browse through 100 websites and try to locate their certificate on every single web page out there. We have uniform content structure for you. So I'll repeat, I'm now, after search result, showing you an example company profile page. And on this page, you will see how Thomas content team describe all businesses, as well as their certification and all the structured data, including sometimes even the key folks that run the company. and the firmographic data also included here. Now, some of you may say that, hey, you know, Kathy, I really only buy from people that has AS 900 filter certification or ISO, you know, certification. And the good news is now let's talk about the quality certifications. If you have like requirements, and say if I'm working in the nuclear industry and I need every supplier to have ASME NQA-1 certification, you actually can just check this box and filter to 3 companies that are certified to supply for nuclear related companies and manufacturing processes. Isn't it super cool? It is actually really cool. Now I'm gonna unfilter this and go through the last final group of filters that are very powerful as well. So if you work for a big company, sometimes you might have a diversity spend goal, especially if you work for the government. Now, within our search result, you actually can check the box and look on under ownership and diversity. On this page, you can, you know, look for example, veteran-owned businesses, and here there are 15 of them. So if you say maybe you're a vet yourself, and thank you for your service, and you want to support veteran-owned business, or you're asked to actually source with diverse spend goal, I strongly encourage you to use this particular feature, because without it, you have to spend a lot of time going through a lot of search results, 655 precisely, and I kind of whittled it down to 15 for you within just one click. Let me take a quick look. So how about subcontractor that make those Caterpillar part? Benjamin, that's a really good question. So if I were to understand you correctly, you're looking for manufacturing companies that are actually subcontractors of Caterpillar parts. Sometimes what we notice is that, you know, with a lot of big organizations, they actually keep their supply chain relatively private and there are NDAs involved. So they may not, some of our suppliers, even they might be producers for, say, the Defense Department or major manufacturing logos. They might not actually have the rights to publicly broadcast that relationship, because supply chain information is gold these days. But you asked a really good question, Mariah. Please make sure of we capture that, and then we can take a look at it afterwards. And I have another really good question. Mining parts like shoals. I don't even know this word, I think. Do you mean shuffles? Is this a word? Yeah, Mariah, if you can fact check for me, I can squeeze it into our presentation in a bit. So let me swing back to the presentation and recap visually what I just walked through as well. I know I'm recapping 3 times, but there's just so much information. So we kind of went on to thomasnet.com, and instead of fastener, I walked you through using bearings, wooden toy, how you can search and evaluate from a first search result, first glance. And again, these are the really important data points that are made available through Thomas history in the industry. Within all suppliers, you can filter them by location, firmographic information such as when they were founded, estimated annual revenue, employee counts, expertise and capabilities, qualifications, including diversity statuses, ASME all the way through to FDA clean room, all the ISO certificate, and ITAR if you work in the defense industry. And I know a lot of you may be a bit concerned about CMMC. If you're in the defense supply chain, it's a requirement certificate that you have to hit a cybersecurity threshold of safetiness. And I think we are actually, we've introduced that onto thomasnet.com as well. But we also have a very long form multi-page guide on how you can get certified as well if you need some help on that. Again, for free. Now, we cover all the firmographic information at a glance, and that you can filter search results within any kind of top categories with your keywords. You can put in branded search term like 3M, Caterpillar. You can further filter your results using that. We also briefly cover origin declaration. I know a lot of Canadians also wanted this, but right now we only have this feature for US-based manufacturer, where we ask manufacturer to self-declare whether or not they're in compliance with the Berry Amendment compliance, the Buy American Act, and Made in the USA requirements. So that's really useful if you're concerned about supply chain, international supply chain, and shipping reliability. And also, it's very expensive right now. Finally, you can filter locations, but also remember that we validate our suppliers for you. And you saw, if you see those little, gold, blue, and X cross badges, it only means that those are Thomas and Xometry's partners, and we spend extra energy in verifying those suppliers for you. They're extra vetted. A lot of them actually did test parts for Xometry as well. So just going through this a bit more slowly, like I said, register suppliers means that they work with Thomas. We got all the contact information and structured data validated for them. For those suppliers, you will see that they have a green button like contact us or request a quote. You can contact them and they will get an email alert directly from you. So are the verified suppliers, but they have additional product service discovery, which means that these suppliers usually have an e-catalog included on the site. So when you look at those profiles with a yellow badge, it means that you can actually browse through their full digital catalog without ever leaving thomasnet.com. And finally, Xometry. I mentioned that we're bought by Xometry last quarter. It's very exciting. They have a manufacturer supplier network of over 5,000 suppliers internationally. And what is even more cool is their ability to take real-time historical performance of how every manufacturer in the network deliver jobs, including the reliability, cost, lead time, and level of satisfaction, so that when you upload your file with your latest design, they can use artificial intelligence and machine learning to pair you up with the best manufacturers in real time. So I'm gonna actually demonstrate that in a bit for you guys as well. And we walk through the certification filter, as well as being able to filter suppliers by their minority statuses. I did veteran owned, but you can also try other filters, as well as the ISO certificate. Now, I have a hidden Easter egg for you guys. Let me actually pop over and show you that when you come onto thomasnet.com, if you're quite new, or maybe even if you're very seasoned, it's still really hard to understand the breadth of our industry and all the available certification. What I tend to do is I actually scroll to the bottom of thomasnet.com and I will look at the diversity filter. The link at the bottom of the page. And here, what is really amazing is it looks just like what I showed you in terms of the homepage search, but the biggest difference is this actually returns structured data, not just for diverse suppliers, but also all quality certifications. So say I just typed in bearings, which is a very common category. And now you can actually go through all the different options and registration available for a particular categories. So this is, I think, personally a very good way to learn about important manufacturing standards and processes in our sector. Now, I think Carrie asked, oh, sorry, Mariah answered that already. Yes, so let's see, I just want to check we answer most of the question on the right. Cool. Now, yep, so Mariah answered a few of the questions as well. So let's actually swing back to the deck and follow along with our next part. I kind of covered a few things on how you can evaluate suppliers, but I want to focus on now how you can shortlist and export the data results. So before I jump in, I just wanted to give you an overview on the company profile, but also a bit of the icons and what they mean. Like just now, I actually clicked one of the results, and you see that there is a certificate available. And when I open it, it opened another tab with the actual PDF or JPEG that you can download. Whenever you are looking, whenever you're looking at a company profile on Thomas, you see this icon. It means you're in luck because we've already stored the digital version of the certificate on thomasnet.com. So you don't have to click and look for it. You open it, you can download and add it to your procurement digital system, or store it somewhere so that you can have a way to validate your vendor list. And if you see this click, like almost like an exit door, it means that our supplier team have actually added a link, not just to the homepage of the website of this company, although sometimes they are. We actually deep link the company's assertion on their certification, specific to the one that you just look at, such as Pressure Equipment Directive. When you click through this, I'll demonstrate in a bit, it takes you to the web page that shows you that they're capable or they have that certificate. If you see the little star, it means that we link to a third-party verified organization, like, you know, the Small Business Agency. They have a lot of company records. And finally, you don't see it a lot because we usually rely on trustworthy third-party information, but sometimes manufacturers themselves would report information to us, and you will see the little kind of box, like a little chat box that shows you this is self-declared information. So without further ado, let me actually show you how it looks like. Again, I'm kind of repeating the really cool process. I'm seeing a lot of people searching for aluminum, and let's look at this as a raw material. What I would like to show you is I'm going to open, let's say, a Florida company and a California company, so we cover people from both coasts. I'm still my 50-state geography is getting better, but not perfect. Now, here on this page, you will see that there is an ISO certificate. If you remember what this icon stands for, it means if I click it, it opens to the page of the actual certificate, and you can download it, you can save it, and you can even click to this user and send this company a request for information. And in addition, you see this drug-free workplace program. That's another icon that I showed you. This is basically a self-declared data point. Now, with the Californian manufacturer, they don't actually have much information available under the quality certification, but that's totally fine. You can look at the other information about the company by just clicking through the page as well. Now, when it comes to evaluation, right, I walked you all through these kind of key data points, and now I wanted to actually show you how you can do very little work, but it'll make you look like you've done a lot of work, which is sometimes, I think, a very good thing to do. And it's all ethical, very ethical. So what I did was, you know, I just quickly click on the request report button of a company. So I'm going to do it slowly again. I'm on this particular company, back to the wheels example, and there is a really great button called the request report button. Once I click it, I'll be taken to the supplier's summary reports tab, which is under my Thomas account. And you will see that historically, you wait about 30 minutes and you get an email to tell you that your report is ready. At this point, you're like, Kathy, what report? Let me show you. So this is, sometimes I wonder why Thomas would do all this for free. It is actually pretty amazing. You will see that under the supplier profile summary report of this precision company, Precision Machinist in Connecticut, there's all the information you saw but exported in the PDF, very professional form. There's a description of the company, all the data that we already covered, but more importantly, one limited view of Thomas is like when you search for a company, say bearings, you only see that they are able to do bearings, right? But when you export this report, it shows you all the categories that this company is part of, literally from A to Z, aluminum to washers. So this also, if you're procurement, sometimes if you're doing supplier relationship management and try to refactor and minimize the number of vendors you have, or at least reduce risk, and try to find out what are the vendors in your system that can do multiple products or machining capabilities, this is a very good table. Again, all the certificates you see are already embedded into this export report. And this is my joke, like there's all the explanation where this is a report that you saw me clicking it and it took me a second. But when you compile all of your vendor shortlist and have a binder of all of these suppliers, it does look like we've done a lot of work, isn't it? Because thanks to 100+ years of hard work from the Thomas supplier content team. Now, oh, Elizabeth, you're very kind. Yes, okay, let's keep going. We are now on part 2. We talk about how you evaluate a company. And what I actually already covered is the video at the beginning, so I'm not going to waste time on it because I do really want to show you 2 things: how you can compare suppliers and how you can actually get a sense of all suppliers with a structured table and download it into a I can never say it right, CVS file. Wait, CSV? I blame pharmacy's name in the USA. Why would you name a pharmacy after like an Excel format up and scramble the letters just to confuse the non-Americans? I think it's very funny actually. CSV, I get it now. So, okay, let's recap. I was saying, if you actually are about to source something for your next project, and this time I'm going to actually add tubing. Let's say you are looking for tubing suppliers, which is a very powerful kind of manufacturing processes. You see it in all piping, a lot of like metal parts, and structural kind of construction related work. So you're here, and maybe you're looking for a company that's actually quite big. Okay, so this one, 250 million and over, this is exactly what I need. You can actually click the select button and you can browse a little bit more here and there, go through their whole full profile using all the structured data I described, including the capability, export some report. And now I've selected 2 manufacturer. So for the eagle eye audiences on this call, you may see that there are 2 companies at the bottom. I'm going to just actually pick one more. I'll pick a slightly smaller company, but founded in 1987. Great year. I'm an 80s baby. So 3 companies. At this point, what I like as someone that loves a lot of information is to actually click this button here, compare. In the bottom, once I click the compare button, all the information that you saw in the previous screen that are scattered all around the company profile in a structured way is now even more structured. So now you can see that I have a list of these, I have a list of these suppliers, and you can see the company types, tubing information. Our supplier content team do not just copy and paste every company description. They rewrite based on a company capability on tubing to edit into this whole table. So when you download this report, it's not about everything that this company can do, but how this company can address your business needs in tubing. So this is gold. And then years founded, company size information, registrations, and all the report that I showed you, the way you have to wait for 30 minutes, you can trigger the download from here as well. Now, going back to the search result, you may say, I like all 3 of them, and I like to add them to my project. So a heads up for all of you on this call, we are actually about to redesign and improve on this process. And at the end of this call, during the exit survey, you can opt in to join the product council for Thomas if you want to input how we improve this feature for you. Now, why am I telling you this? Because you can actually click the shortlist button. And in our new version, we'll build it even better with more information and more ways for you to organize your information. So remember to stay behind for the exit survey and tell us if you want to work with us and me and have calls with me all the time on how we can improve this project for you. Now back to this. Let's say, okay, I'm Kathy. I'm actually working on the food assembly and I need some tubing capability. So I can actually click this button and I can save this to shortlist. And once I'm there, at any point, you can just go back to your Thomas account and you can reference your list and all the candidates that you have ever saved. So I'll give you an example. Let's say in August, I actually created a short list of bearings for wind turbines that I'm building. At this point, you can click the download button, and can you see how fast it is? Sometimes I get nervous about, live demo, but this has been amazing. The product team did a lot of work in improving the speed of thomasnet.com, and you can see that all the suppliers that I've shortlisted, be it wooden toys or Caterpillar distributors and gearboxes, you can create all those lists, and then you can add them to the shortlist. And here you see all the company profile links taking you to Thomas, their addresses, and state code, even postcode, phone number. So if you already have an ERP system or other digital vendor management system, you can even just port all of the data and import that into your system quite easily. Cool. So let's see. I think we answered most questions. Taking a quick look. Great. Now, I wanted to recap what I walked you all through for the second part of this webinar. Remember, we have search, evaluate, connect. So we did search, now we're halfway through evaluate. And I walk you through the fact that you can pop over to the search result, pick your suppliers, and then and you can add them to your short list. Once you're there, you can always go back to your Thomas account and find all the shortlisted supplier. And I'm going to slow down and actually show you, if you're pottering around on thomasnet.com, how do you go back to your account? When you move to the top right hand corner, you see your little head. It's just on the top right hand corner where you click it, and it would take you back to your full profile, and you can see all the recent suppliers you look at, all the recent searches you've done, as well as all the shortlist you've saved on the left hand side, and also all the downloads that you have ever kind of triggered, including white papers and supplier summary reports that I've shown you. Cool. So let's move on to the final part before I share with you all the free resources on how you can connect and request for information via Thomas as well as Sometry. So now that we are where we are, I'm going to pop back to the tubing example, and I'm going to look at the result for tubing. I've already picked 3 suppliers that I kind of browsed, reviewed, and I really like. Right now, what I can do is I actually can click request info, and you can fill in this form, including uploading an NDA. If you're concerned about NDA, you can always ask suppliers to fill it in before they can get more information from you. So at this point, you can tell them, I need these sort of tubings, I need an RFI respond by this date. You can, okay, tubing inquiry, right? And then you can say, I need this by this date. You can send them a message. I always encourage buyers to kind of write the message and put it on a notepad, because every time you're allowed to add up to 5 suppliers and send a bulk contact. And if you ask me, why can't you message 100? We have to just protect suppliers from possible spam as well, because sometimes people use Thomas to solicit for businesses. However, we actually have a human vetting team that goes through all RFIs, and almost no suppliers would ever get solicitation that's not relevant to their business needs. And there you can upload your design file, you can enter your contact information, and you will then submit 3 quotes simultaneously. A quick note though, I do understand that everyone wants immediate responses because of just how it is in 2022. However, a lot of manufacturers are very busy right now, and a lot of them do not have a giant office of sales and marketing people picking up phone calls. We do encourage some of you, if you haven't heard back or if your request is urgent, apart from sending suppliers your quote, also make sure you call them up, because a lot of manufacturers we spoke with still prefer that human to human contact. However, you may say, Kathy, but I have this order and I need to get it done really quickly, and it's a part that I have never made before, and I don't know exactly where I can start with this. I do have a design file. Now, with that in mind, I do want to show you guys a bit more about Sometry, because their technology is fantastic. And as our parent company, they also have 5,000 verified and vetted suppliers. Now, let me not just tell you. I'm going to show you. So let's say, using my example, you've been asked as a industrial buyers to create a tri-frame component, and you've never done it before. With Xometry, you literally can just drag and drop that file into their quoting engine, and within seconds, they can show you the cost of the product. If you want it expedited, it's going to be a bit more expensive, but you get it within 4 business days. Or if you can wait a little bit, you get it in 5 business days. It's about $300 less expensive. Or if you trust the current international shipment schedule, you can even get it cheaper internationally. Now, in addition, you may say, Kath, this is all great, but the suggested process is CNC machining. And my engineering director said that as a procurement person, my engineering director is telling me they want a different process. Here, you actually can click the modify part button. Although Xometry has our artificial intelligence capability to make a recommendation for the best process for you, you can always configure it differently. So there are the different 3D printing processes you can swap out. You might even be able to change this into different chemicals. Let's say I'm going to switch it to stainless steel. And the pricing, you see, just changed. And now you have a standard made in the USA option, because you know what is interesting? Across the 5,000 supplier manufacturer network, there are specialism. There are manufacturers that can do certain parts, certain techniques using certain materials. And with this, you actually can pinpoint exactly what you need. And if you're prototyping, it becomes a lot cheaper. Isn't that super cool? Now, let's say I'm going to discard the changes and look at this again. And you may say, Kathy, I work for the Department of Homeland Security, or I'm within that supply chain, and I need to make sure that our product is ITAR certified. Here you can add the certification. And you can see that the pricing just changed. In case you didn't see it, let me slow down for you. This engine is faster than us human. So if you remember the former pricing, it was a few $100s, not about $1,000. So with ITA certification, expedited pricing is $1,141. Without it, it is $619. As you know, it's actually really kind of a lot more work and process and compliance related regulation that are needed in a shop. So you understand that companies that are a specialist in doing that will charge more for your parts. But here, can you see, it gives you a lot more control in making decisions really fast. And in case you're wondering, I'm seeing some people asking questions about overall Xometry's capability. So let me go to the homepage super quick. And you will see that Xometry is able to help you with CNC sheet cutting, metal fabrication, 3D printing, injection molding. And there are a lot more activities they can help you with. So if you have any question, again, Kathy@thomasnet.com, just drop me a quick question and we'll help you out. Now, this really sums up the really most important features in thomasnet.com. We only have an hour. I want to make sure I squeeze in last few minutes to give you guys some free resources as well. We walked through how you can search, evaluate, and connect with 500,000 manufacturers through going through their company profiles, understanding the structured data available on our platform. You can filter search results and speed up your procurement process. You can even compare all the suppliers at the end by checking a select button and then click the compare button. Remember, you can add 5 suppliers at a time, and there's no limitation to the shortlist. So you can add 5 of them at a given time to your shortlist, and you can build a shortlist of like 100 suppliers if you want, because after that, after you create it and save your shortlist, you can actually export the data into a CSV format. Thank you, Kathy. I wrote it down so I don't say it wrong. And also, remember, you can always come to Thomas to find your suppliers. If you don't get something immediately quoted and it's urgent, and you may need prototype CNC injection molding needs, you can also use the Xometry instant quote engine. And without further ado, last 5 helpful resources, and then I'll let you guys go. Number 1, Everything I described to you is actually written in long form ebook. Mariah did an amazing job, so please feel free to download it. Remember, you already have access to this deck, but we'll still send you after this webinar all these resources and the links. Second, like I said, we always stay abreast on what industry needs. And I know a lot of you are busy running a shop, doing your own marketing, your own sales. So we interview a lot of subject matter experts in the industry, such as people in cybersecurity, and created a checklist for you to understand the future of CMMC compliance. During COVID-19, we wrote the longest form article on how N95 masks are made and certified in the USA. And that article has over 300,000 views during the pandemic as well. So we are here not just to connect manufacturers and supplier, we're also here to make you do your job better and easier. And don't forget to subscribe to the Thomas Industry Update newsletter. My team, they work really hard in getting you up to speed every morning. You get the email at around 4 a.m., no matter where you are in the US, and you'll be the smartest person in the boardroom. And also, as a gift to you all, if you are involved in injection molding related jobs, please feel free to click a link and we will send you a really cool plastic molded prototype sheet where you can get a code on the finishing so that you have the tactile tool to extrapolate what you want to order from Xometry and even beyond. And finally, we do have an ultimate guide to 3D printing. You might have gotten really interested when I tweaked the materials just now in the Live engine and see that a part can went from $600 to $15. I think additive manufacturing is super cool and it really can lead a lot of innovation in the industry. We actually did a webinar on how it can help people who were born without limbs or have accident and lose their body parts in getting 3D prosthetic printed at a very low cost. Just so many cool things are happening. So this really is the end of the presentation. Please stay in touch with me, Kathy, cma@thomasnet.com are both my emails. And Robert, yes, this is recorded. And Mariah did a huge job in putting this together with me. And when I close this, I'm just going to ask you guys if you can stay for 2 minutes, do a quick exit survey so that I can improve and with Mariah and deliver better content for you next time. So thank you for your time today. And it's lovely jamming with you all and like looking for wooden toys. It really made my day. Thank you.